You've planned, you've saved, you have thought of everything. That is until that one big surprise expense completely blindsides you in retirement. In fact, most retirement regrets that I see as a certified financial planner have little to do with market timing or investment returns and more about missed opportunities when it comes to things people wish they would have taken care of before they stopped working. But what do we know? We get busy, we're human, we just never get around to it. And that's the purpose of this video, is to walk you through these 6 major purchases that I wish every client made before they retired. I'm Nick Covio, certified financial planner and founder of Swell Financial, where we help folks over the age of 50 make smarter decisions around taxes, investments, and spending so that they can enjoy their retirement with confidence, clarity, and peace of mind. Looking forward to diving into this episode with you. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with the big one, long-term care insurance. And I want to be clear, I'm not bringing this up first to scare you. I'm bringing this up to warn you because this is one of the most preventable financial mistakes I see, which is people wait too long to purchase and then it gets too expensive, or worse, they go into retirement not having any coverage at all, relying just on their portfolio alone. But now it's time to play some defense, and it's time to protect what you've built and to start planning for how to hedge against events that could rob you of fully enjoying your hard-earned money. Because statistically speaking, most retirees at some point in time in their lives will need a form of assisted care. In fact, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services estimates that about 70% of adults over the age of 65 will require some form of long-term care at a point in their life. And coverages, on average, they range from 2 to 4 years. And I know what you're thinking, Nick, I have Medicare, I'll be fine. That's not what we're talking about. We are trying to protect against the things that Medicare does not cover, things that you're going to have to pay for out of your own pocket. These are things like assisted living. And depending on where you live, the level of care you personally prefer, and those costs can wildly range from $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 all the way up to $15,000 a month. So why do I recommend buying coverage before retirement? Because premiums, just like if you ever purchase life insurance, they're both based off of your health and your age. And as we get older, those premiums get more expensive. So what I like to recommend is somewhere in your 50s, start shopping for policies. Start asking questions, start doing research, understand what those coverage policies entail, what it costs, what it covers, so on and so forth. Now, I know what you're thinking here. What if I end up not needing this policy? I've just wasted a bunch of money. It's not the case. There's so many different types of policies these days, whether it's a joint life benefit policy for you and your spouse, where you each get your long-term care allotment or benefit amount, and any unused portion goes to the other person. Or you have a hybrid policy, which turns into a life insurance policy. So same feature here, where any unused long-term care benefit that's left over and remaining, it converts into a life insurance policy to go back to your loved ones. Or also you have a return of premium policy that any unused amount also goes back to your loved ones as well. And look, I'm a fee-only certified financial planner. I don't sell insurance. What I'm trying to say is that what I've found with my clients and a lot of prospects that I've spoken to over the years is they regret going into retirement without some form of hedge and protection, some form of defense to protect against their portfolio. You've worked too hard to build up this portfolio to have it go solely and strictly to long-term care costs. And so if you're in your 50s watching this video, this is a first thing that I would recommend pricing out to see where it fits into your retirement plan. All right, here's a real life scenario. We've just gone through your retirement plan. We've mapped out your income, figured out how much you could spend. We've accounted for travel, gifts to kids, future down payments, or paying for a wedding, and it all works. And then what happens? You get the call from the mechanic. We all know that one. Hey, it's going to be $5,000, $10,000, or worse, you're going to need a new car. And suddenly you're staring down a $30,000 car purchase that you were never anticipating for. And while that may not sound like a whole lot of money or a big deal, especially if you've done a good job saving and you have more than $1 million, that timing of whenever you get that bad phone call could suddenly put your retirement plan in jeopardy. Walk with me through a scenario here. If you're fully retired, so you have no sources of income coming in, and maybe you're locked on a strict budget now that we know what you could spend, and if the market's down 15, 20%. Now you're finding yourself having to pull out a large chunk of cash from your portfolio at the very worst time. That withdrawal hurts way more. Or maybe we can't afford to take that same distribution out all at once, so we need to add $300, $400, $500 to our budget for a car payment over the next 5 to 7 years. That's a big strain on our retirement. So what's the better move instead? Do it before you retire. Have a car that's reliable. Have a car that is paid off. Now, look, I'm not a car guy. Yes, I love my 4Runner, but I picked it. I think it looks awesome, but I picked it largely in part because I know I'm going to have it for the next 20 years. But if you have a personal preference and cars are really important to you, that's fine. Maybe a goal of yours is you've always wanted to have that Corvette or that 69 Mustang. Point is, you got to have something that's reliable heading into retirement and something that's paid off to avoid the surprises that could throw off your entire plan. Let's talk about the third purchase you should consider making before retirement, which is home improvements. Because I want you to take a hard look around your house right now and ask yourself, is this the home we see ourselves staying into for retirement? Or maybe do you need to downsize? Do we need to transition to a single-story home? We want to find ways to make aging in place a lot easier. Now, listen, I know if you're watching this video in your 50s or 60s, it's the last thing you want to do. It's the last thing you probably want to think of. And I completely get it. I understand. But it may not be a bad idea to set aside some money for potential future modifications like grab bars, better lighting, wider doorways, or step-free entries. These major home improvements can have a big financial strain if you don't think about them now. So even if you don't want to make those modifications today, having a budget or a line item for those future modifications may not be a bad idea. And the same thing goes to major home renovations or updates like HVAC system, roof, windows, so on and so forth. Because we want to take care of these things, these bigger purchases now while we're still working, while we have money coming in. Because again, like the car example, these costly upgrades, if they're done in retirement where we no longer have money coming in, could be a costly surprise and huge financial strain on our retirement portfolio. So now that you understand why these major but often essential purchases must come before you retire, if you're needing help understanding where they fit into your plan, what I want you to do is click on the link in the description below, and I will send you a personalized Loom video analyzing your specific situation, how these major and essential expenses fit into your overall retirement plan. The fourth purchase I want you to consider making before you retire is health and dental work. Because Medicare coverage, it does the job in my opinion, but let's be honest, if you or your spouse are working for a larger employer, chances are that healthcare coverage, well, it covers a lot more, and it's probably much more affordable on your wallet share. Because if you're retiring before 65 and now you're forced to go on the Affordable Care Act and find an open marketplace plan, those plans are a lot more expensive and often don't cover as much, which is why it makes so much sense to handle these bigger expenses, these bigger healthcare costs, crowns, hearing aids, whatever it is, things that improve the quality of your life. This preventative care can go such a long way getting it done today while you're on your employer's insurance plan to create fewer headaches down the road. So the fifth purchase I advise you to consider making before retirement: travel gear and experiences. Because travel, you're in the go-go years, the early years of retirement, you're healthy, you have time, and hopefully you have a plan in place that incorporates the fun. You've given yourself permission, and that's why it makes sense to invest in good quality luggage and gear now. Go buy the luggage. Go buy comfy shoes, noise-canceling headphones, an iPad, whatever it is. Buy the things while the income is still coming in that can make travel that much more enjoyable so you get to your destination relaxed and ready to enjoy. The second part, though, is book the trip. Make the memories. Hold yourself accountable and give yourself that permission to spend. In fact, if you recently, while you're still working, received a bonus or stock compensation, start setting that money aside now for your future travel fund so that you can enjoy that money in retirement, stress and worry-free. Because retirement is not just about saving the money. It's about giving yourself that permission to spend. And it helps, just speaking from personal experience and what I've seen in working with retirees for over a decade, if we already have that money allocated, it's so much easier to go out and spend it rather than seeing our account and having to make an additional expense in retirement on top of our normal cash flow because it feels like extra work, and it's, do I have enough money to retire? Can I really afford this? So do it now. Life insurance is another one of those things that only gets more expensive the longer we wait. And for some people, if we wait too long, it becomes unavailable just entirely. If you're like most of my clients and you've done a wonderful job saving and accumulating, chances are you built your wealth throughout your 30s, 40s, and 50s, and you probably protected that in your family with a term life insurance policy throughout your 30s, 40s, and 50s. And that 30-year policy is probably coming to an end. Probably got that email, and this is a good time just to review. Does life insurance, even if it's a small permanent policy, fit into our overall plan for end-of-life experiences so we don't have to pay that out of pocket? And so whether you need or you're considering life insurance to protect your spouse, pad your investment portfolio and leave a bigger legacy, or just cover final expenses, the point is having this conversation, thinking about how it impacts and where it fits into your plan before you retire, before it becomes unaffordable, is really crucial. Run the numbers now, see where it fits, and whether or not you want to get some quotes. Now, let's quickly recap these 6 purchases that you want to make sure you prioritize before you retire. We have our long-term care insurance, and we want to remember with this, applying or getting those quotes somewhere in our early to mid 50s before insurance gets too expensive. The next one's our reliable and paid off vehicle. Same thing goes with major home improvements and ensuring that we get these home improvements, whether it's a downsize and selling or major renovations or an HVAC, getting these improvements done while we still have a paycheck coming in. Same also applies to healthcare, preventative work, and dental work before we go on Medicare while we're still on our employer's plan. Next, we have the travel gear and experiences. These are the fun ones that we want to make sure we have money set aside to go and enjoy. And last, we have our final expenses, whether it's through the way of setting aside some money or it's through a small permanent insurance policy, setting aside money for those expenses. Now, I don't want you to feel pressure at all to tackle this overnight. It is a lot, but start with the purchases that get more expensive and harder to qualify for as we get older. It's worth, while you're still working today, running the numbers, getting the quotes, and seeing how it fits into your overall retirement plan. Because a little bit of planning goes a long way in retirement. Because now that you've seen these 6 essential purchases and why timing is everything and having a plan is everything, you're now in a much better position to make the retirement decisions that bring you clarity and confidence. And if you still have questions while you're going through this video, where do some of these big purchases fit into our plan? Please reach out. That is what we are here for. It'd be an honor to help you in your retirement journey. What I want you to do is click on the link in the description below, and we'll send you a personalized Loom video walking you through your retirement and where these expenses fit in. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.